Hello there, and welcome to today's episode of the Easy EdTech Podcast. My name is Monica Burns, and I am so glad that you're here to join me today. If you want to make the most of education technology, aka EdTech, well, you are in the right place. My goal has always been to help make EdTech easier and give you ideas you can try yourself, share with a colleague, or bookmark for later in the school year. Every Tuesday here on the Easy EdTech Podcast, you'll hear stories from my time in the classroom, the work I do now with schools and districts, and my travels to different EdTech events. Get ready for solo episodes where I share some quick tips and stories, and interviews full of practical ideas and stories from new guests each month. If we mention something you'd like to check out, make sure to click the link. You'll find it in the episode description or the summary area where you're listening to this podcast, or you can find every episode and all of the resources we mention by going to classtechtips.com/podcast, or by going to classtechtips.com and just clicking on the Easy EdTech Podcast button at the top of the page. This episode is sponsored by my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction, published by ASCD and ISTE. It's full of quick tips educators can use, and Amazon almost always has it on sale. Just search for me, Monica Burns, on Amazon to see all of my books and quick reference guides. But please remember that there are 2 authors named Monica Burns on Amazon, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to tell the difference between our books. Just head to Amazon, search Monica Burns, and you'll find my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction. Today's episode is all about classroom infographics. And if you want to make some complex information, things that might feel heavy on numbers, heavy on data, or just a lot of details, a bit more digestible for students, infographics are a great way to help them visualize information. And they're likely to come across infographics outside of the classroom when they are scrolling through a website, flipping through a print magazine, or any place that might present information to them or a visual alongside info in an article. So infographics combine visuals with concise text and icons, oftentimes different color palettes that relate to a big idea to help students grasp big ideas quickly. Today, we're going to talk about classroom infographics on the podcast. I've got some quick tips for creating your own infographics so you can make some of your own. And when I host workshops and webinars for educators about using AI tools in the classroom, I often mention how you can tackle items that are on your to-do list and items that are on your wish list. Now, making an infographic might not be on your list of must-dos, right? Unless you're teaching a unit specifically around informational text or infographics, right? Then maybe it's a little higher on the list. But making an infographic is something that could really help kids get a better understanding of a topic or maybe a set of data. In the past, it was something that you just might not easily have been able to make unless you were really fluent with graphic design tools or had a passion for design and wanted to spend, the extra time creating something. But now, with the right AI tools, you can take a rough idea for a classroom infographic and turn it into a more polished visual in just a couple minutes. It's really quicker than ever to go from idea to first draft or iteration, a couple changes, and then having something that's pretty great to share with students. So today we'll take a look at some tools, some strategies, some specific prompts so you can make infographics with a little help from AI. Now, as I mentioned, AI makes this process really accessible to anyone, regardless of their design background. There's still such an important role for graphic designers when creating professional content. But when we're looking for something quick that's good enough to share with a group of students, maybe students who appreciate visuals as learners, maybe multilingual learners, kids who need some extra scaffolding, right? Then this is an opportunity to help them interact with different types of media in the classroom. Now, if you've got a copy of the second edition of my book, EdTech Essentials, there's a part in the first edition too. But in the second edition, I go into infographics and some strategies from introducing them to students. Let me read you just a quick bit from page 89 of the book. An infographic is a popular medium featured in both print and digital formats. It can help students represent their thinking with visuals, including a combination of icons, images, and text set in a thematic color palette. As a visual representation of information, an infographic lends itself well to many types of student learning experiences. It pushes students to think about the organization of their information within a graphic, how to communicate information to an audience, and how data points are an important part of telling a story about a topic. Students can use infographics to represent information they've been given, like a list of data points from the U.S. Geological Survey, data they have found through their own research, and results they have gathered through surveys. Infographics require students to go beyond the surface level of information and organize facts and data into a visual format. This type of student product requires critical thinking and can incorporate collaborative opportunities such as peer feedback. You might ask students to use a template you've created and share it with them. Search for a template to modify or start from scratch. All right, that little excerpt from the book talks about infographics for students as consumers and creators. I've got a study guide of the book on the website, totally free to download if you want to go in deeper. And if you search for Monica Burns on Amazon, you'll see my books. You'll see some other ladies' books that are of a different genre than mine, but you'll be able to find EdTech Essentials there too. So today we're focused more on the teacher role for creating infographics that support a student learning experience. And there are several tools you might decide to try to help you build infographics. Here's just a few for your consideration. I've got 5 of them to share with you. The first is Gemini's Nano Banana. This is the latest image generation model from Google. Nano Banana, kind of a funny name, but you can find it inside of Gemini. I found that it does a great job of understanding different layouts and making text pretty legible. This was a big understandable complaint of using AI image generators even just a year ago, that the text was really messy. Now it's so much better. Next up is ChatGPT's image tool. This has also gotten better in just the past month or so. So if you're listening to this episode when it goes live in May, I'm recording it the first week of May. And just this past month in April, they released a new image model that's pretty great. So you might want to try it if you haven't visited ChatGPT in a little bit, or maybe you've been playing around with others. I know I'm spending a lot of time in Claude recently, but try out ChatGPT's image tool. You can ask for an image like an infographic and then follow up with revisions. Another googly one on this list of 5 is Notebook LM. If you're already using Notebook LM, this is a really good place to just stick with it. Don't try anything else. Go back to Notebook LM, do a notebook you've already made, and in the Studio panel, you'll see the option for creating an infographic. I recently put a blog post out and a podcast episode on some things that you can do with Notebook LM that are a little wild, a little surprising. And one that I mentioned was the new infographic options in Notebook LM. So you can decide how detailed you want it to be and the visual style. So that's another great choice. Canva, their magic tools, right, are getting stronger and stronger. Every time I go back in, I'm pleasantly surprised that it's a little bit better than the last time I used it. And you can, of course, search for infographic templates they've already made, stay away from the AI for now, or use AI to create an infographic. And then the last one, kind of a Gemini one too. So it's kind of like a double with the nano banana from earlier, which is Google Slides and the Beautify This Slide feature. If you've got some data on a slide, you can tap on the Beautify This Slide option. This will make a nicer version of your data, usually in the style of what we would still consider an infographic. Not every Google account will give you access to this, but adding it to our list of some tools to consider. So a couple other tips if you're jumping into an AI tool to make an infographic for your classroom is to specify your color palette. If you say water cycle infographic, it's probably going to make something a little earthy and blue, but you might say, I want muted, professional, blue and gray palette or bright primary colors. Put that in your prompt and see how well the tool listens to you to connect to your color palette. Just like you would with a prompt you type out or do in voice to text, you can identify the audience for your infographic. Say, I want this for kindergartners, or I want this for high school AP history class. Super different audience, right? That's going to give it, some information on just how detailed you want that infographic to be. And kind of the third little extra tip is to manage your expectations when it comes to text. As I mentioned earlier, I've been super impressed with these newer image generation models, but they're not perfect. And so you might find the text isn't quite in the right spot, or maybe one word isn't as legible as you want it to be. So this is not perfect, but again, right, you're not creating this for professional, right, publication. You're doing this to support students with some visual representation of information. So if you're getting 90% of the way there and it's pretty great, and maybe you point out to students like, I used AI to make this, it's not perfect, right? It could also be an embedded AI literacy lesson or just a little extra tip, right, that you're sharing with them too. So let's get into some prompt examples that you might try out with an AI infographic generator. So I have a couple of these. I'm going to put them in the show notes, and I'm going to link out to a blog post I did on classroom infographics where you'll see some overlap in these examples also. So you could listen to me, pause this episode, try it, typing it in or using voice to text and see how well it works, or just kind of mental bookmark these as inspiration for your own prompt writing. So the first one is a water cycle example. And I said, create a portrait-oriented infographic for fourth grade students showing the water cycle. Use a storybook watercolor style. Include and label 4 main stages: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection. Use a soft blue and green color palette. So let's break that down a bit. I said portrait-oriented graphic. So that's telling the shape, orientation, the size. I said my audience for fourth grade students and my big topic, the water cycle. Then I gave a style guideline, right? Use a storybook watercolor style. If you're like, Monica, I don't know what different styles there are, don't worry about that, right? You could get rid of that one, or you might say anime, right? You like that style, or cartoon or superhero style, right? So you could get creative or totally skip that. Then I said include and label 4 main stages. I gave those stages. So this is where you decide how detailed you want to be with your prompt and setting your expectations. And then I said the colors I wanted for the color palette. So your call, right, on how detailed you get. The next one is for 3 branches of government. Design a landscape layout, chalkboard art style infographic showing the legislative, executive, and judicial branches of the U.S. government. Use white lines on a dark green background. Place each branch in a separate column with a simple icon representing each building. So again, I said the layout or orientation was landscape. I said the art style was chalkboard. I said the 3 categories I wanted to see, the colors, white lines on dark green background, kind of a old school chalkboard, not a blackboard, right? And then I said how I wanted things organized, placing each branch in a separate column with that icon at the top. So for these 2 examples, right, I'm doing a few different things. You don't have to put all of this in your examples. My examples are like 3 or 4 sentences each, but it gives you a sense of the direction you take. Now, typing all of this out, you of course could do that, right? Put in your whole prompt. I'm a big fan of voice to text, especially if you're gathering your ideas for the first time and maybe you're feeling a little rambly. AI is doing a better job. The AI tools that I've played with, right, do a better job now than maybe a year ago of making sense of ramblings, right, as opposed to putting information yourself, like in a particular order or placing more emphasis on one area or another. So if you're ready to start making classroom infographics with AI, these are just a few tools to help you get started, a few prompts for you to use as an example, and a couple tips for your consideration. Let's go ahead and finish up this episode like we always do with some key points to help make this EdTech easy. First, use AI tools to quickly turn complex topics into clear visual infographics that support student understanding. Provide specific prompts, including audience, style, and color palette to get more accurate and usable results. Leverage infographics to help students organize ideas, think critically, and communicate information visually. Treat AI as a collaborative tool by reviewing, refining, and fact-checking outputs before using them in class. Remember, you can find the show notes and the full list of resources from today's episode by heading to easyedtechpodcast.com and finding today's episode. This one you're listening to is number 371. This year, we're celebrating 7 years of the podcast, and I'm just so excited to have you as a listener. This episode is sponsored by my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction, published by ASCD and ISTE. It's full of quick tips educators can use, and Amazon almost always has it on sale. Just search for me, Monica Burns, on Amazon to see all of my books and quick reference guides. But please remember that there are 2 authors named Monica Burns on Amazon, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to tell the difference between our books. Just head to Amazon, search Monica Burns, and you'll find my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction. Thank you for listening to this new episode of the Easy EdTech podcast. I love creating new episodes for you each week, but I could use a bit of help spreading the word about the podcast. Can you leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app? Spotify will let you tap on the stars, and Apple Podcasts will let you tap on the stars and leave a 1 or 2 sentence review. Thank you so much for taking this extra step. It helps other educators find episodes like this one when they're searching for EdTech tips.